as number 12 Utah beating number 14 Oklahoma State 22-19 without Cam Rising in that game, Dalton. So let's go over the highest graded players from the Utah Utes. First of all, the number one player for them was their safety, Alakai Gilman at an 84.9, Junior Tafuna at a 75.5, Dorian Singer at a 72.7, Lander Barton at a 72.1, and Brant Keithy at a 71.6. And then the Oklahoma State side of the ball, their highest grade player was safety Trey Rucker at a 91.4, Cam Smith at an 81.8, Lyric Rawls at a 77.8, Nicholas Martin at a 76.3, and Corey Black at a 76.3 as well. Really great day for the Oklahoma State secondary in that game. So, Dawn, for you, what was the stat that told the story in this Utah top 15 victory?
This is really simple, Max. This is as simple a game as we're going to do today. If Oklahoma State doesn't get Ollie Gordon going, they're done. They're just done. They will. I know this is one loss, and this score is not at all indicative of how this game went at all. This was 22-3 for a while.
Yep. And a furious comeback.
Oklahoma State, a furious comeback that you still kind of felt like.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, they weren't.
Right. Yeah. Like, this was a dominant effort from Utah, and especially their defense. Look, Ollie Gordon, 11 carries, 42 rushing yards. 18 of them on his last carry of the day with 2 minutes to go. So before that, basically, look at a day besides that last carry, 10 carries for 24 yards. They can't win like that. They will not. They have gotten through the first 3 games with Gordon not doing a whole lot. He had a 100-yard day against South Dakota State on kind of a lot of carries. He just doesn't look the same. This entire rushing attack. You mentioned last year he kind of worked through some subpar run blocking. That run blocking has not gotten any better despite a lot of inexperience on their offensive line. And Gordon, look, through 4 games, he has 236 rushing yards. And I want to say, I'd have to check it, but I want to say he had multiple games with more than that total.
Probably.
In one game last season. This is not – I know certainly one that I got to grade against Cincinnati. I believe he had 270. 236 rushing yards through 4 games, and only in his last 3 games, only forced 7 missed tackles. After he had 13 against South Dakota State, only 7 in the last 3 games. This, between the two teams, between the 2 Big 12 losses, K-State and Oklahoma State, I'm way more worried about Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
This is just like, K-State, we know what they are. If they play to their identity, they're really good. Right now, I don't know what Oklahoma State's good at on offense.
Neither do I.
Because Bowman and the receivers, it's a good crew, but Alan Bowman's not the type of quarterback that you can have carrying you in games like this. And even got benched and then came back into this game. They are searching for answers. If they don't get Ollie Gordon going a lot more than 3.3 yards per carry, Oklahoma State's shot. I will say it after one loss, and after they should have lost the Arkansas game, right? They got dominated in the Arkansas game. I don't mean to bring it up. They got dominated in the Arkansas game, and Bowman and Stribling and Presley and those guys found a way. That's what they do. And you have 2 teams here that usually just find ways to win ball games, right? But I think the alarms. I think the alarm should absolutely be going off in Stillwater right now. I don't know how, if they're going to run the ball like this, I don't know how they're going to win a whole lot more games because their defense is decent. It's not great. Bowman is decent, not great. This was supposed to be the Ollie Gordon show, the maybe the repeat Doak Walker Award thing, maybe 2,000 rushing yards, and we're not even getting average out of their run game right now. It's just not there. I'm very worried about Oklahoma State. I know Utah, it's a big win, and we're getting into that, but I just, for me, I don't know where Oklahoma State goes from here if Ollie Gordon doesn't get going.
He's on pace for like 700 yards this year, I think. It's just like, and Dawn, I was the stat I was going to do before you took Ollie Gordon. I was going to do Ollie Gordon 3 straight games with under 50 rushing yards. That's crazy, dude. For the guy who's the number 1 running back in the country coming into the year, and he's not doing anything for them out there, honestly. It's really bad, and that's a problem when your passing game can't do anything. So my stat tells the story is really goes along with that. Oklahoma State, negative .477 EPA per play until the 4th quarter of this game. In the first 3 quarters of this game, Oklahoma State averaged 3.7 yards per play, 3 yards per carry, 4 yards per pass. And Utah's offense, let's put this simply, they were not playing well either, but it almost didn't matter with how bad Oklahoma State's offense was. And yes, they did have a really good 4th quarter. They averaged 7.6 yards per play, but like we said, it was too little too late by then, honestly. And like you said, it's a major issue. With Alan Bowman, if you're relying on him and those receivers to win the game for you and not your superstar tailback who had the most rushing yards in the country last year and was one of the best players in the country entering the year, that's a huge, huge issue. So, yeah, Oklahoma State's offense was really bad until the fourth quarter of this game, and then it was too little too late by then as well. And the fact that they couldn't take advantage of Isaac Wilson starting in this game. Like, if Oklahoma State says, hey, we got Isaac Wilson, I believe a true sophomore true freshman, I believe, coming into this game, coming into Stillwater, we have a really, really good advantage here. And Isaac Wilson wasn't good, and they still couldn't beat him. So that was a really, really bad performance by Oklahoma State's offense. Don, what was the most impressive part for you, though, in this game?
I know we usually have data stuff, and that's what we do, and grades and everything like that. But we just have to throw it up for Kyle Whittingham, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just with your backup quarterback, all week we're wondering, is Cam Rising playing? And there was so many opinions, including ours, that were, if Cam Rising plays, they'll win, and if he doesn't, probably not, because they've been struggling to score without him, right? And look, and Isaac Wilson, I think he had 3 turnover-worthy plays. It was a struggle in the passing game for the most part. He made a few nice throws for sure. I think he had 2 big-time throws also. But this is what Utah does. I mean, and they defy the grades sometimes, the analytics, look, you're going to look at the grades for this Utah team and go, oh, shoot, how did they win? And sometimes the answer, honestly, is just like they just do. Like, they just do. They play good defense. They shut down your biggest threat. It's almost like the Patriots all those years.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I don't know how they just won, but they have more points than the other teams, so they won. That's where we're at with Utah. And again, they did have guys that played well, no question. Gilman, a lot of the guys, the secondary is a well put together unit. A guy you're about to get into who was the biggest piece of it. But Kyle Whittingham, how many other teams in the country with a backup freshman quarterback go into Stillwater and win a game?
No one. I don't know.
How many? Is there 5 maybe?
Yeah.
By Texas probably.
Texas,
that's a
Nebraska
different,
maybe.
It's a different animal. I mean, how many other teams go in there with a backup quarterback in a wicked tough environment and, look, just slow the game down and the score does not indicate at all. Be clearly the better football team on the field. Kyle Whittingham, the job he does with this team every single year for, is it 25 years now? 24?
He's the second longest. He's tied. Actually, that was the funny stat yesterday. He's tied with Gundy for being the second longest tenure coach. 05, they both got there. So that's 20 years.
Yeah. Okay, 20 years. I mean, and this is what he's been doing for 20 years. It's just they find ways to win and they find ways to get on with their season. And they will, even though it's a win, they will flush it down the toilet and they will move on to next week and do it again. They got Arizona next week, don't they?
Yeah.
What a game.
I can't wait for that.
That's
one of our games we're previewing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what a huge game that is, and how can you doubt him at this point?
Listen, and Bork actually made a great comment here. Morgan Scala, the defensive coordinator, also deserves a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
He's been fantastic. Don, Kyle Whittingham, he beat Oklahoma State in this game. He also beat us because for the second time now, last year I interviewed Kyle Whittingham right before the season, and this is the whole Cam Rising, is he going to come play against Florida or not? And I said, Coach, is he going to play? And he's like, I'll tell you what, Max, he's 50-50 for Florida. And I was like, all right. And he didn't play. And I was like, okay, 50-50. Sometimes the coin goes the other way, too.
Then the next week could be 70-30.
Next week. And I was like, all right, he'll play next week. Yeah. He didn't play all year. And then this week, they asked him, and they asked Dorian Singer, and they're like, no, Cam is freaking playing. Don't worry about him. He's playing. And then right before kickoff, he's like, no, he's not playing this game. This guy holds his cards close to the chest better than anyone else. He's the best poker player in college football by a mile. So Kyle Whittingham, I love it, man. I hate it for our sake because we don't know what we're previewing when we don't know. But it also, that's a great advantage for them. It's like, hey, they don't know who can play quarterback in this game. So last year he did it where he said, Cam's 50-50 for week 1 and they didn't play all year. And then this week it's like, yeah, no, Cam's going to play. No, he's not going to play, actually, right before kickoff. So I love Kyle Whittingham. It's pretty hilarious that he's able to fool us all these times. So we should have learned from last year and we didn't. My most impressive part, though, is Micah Bernard, who we said his name wrong last week, and we messed that up, so we apologize for that. But we definitely get his name right now because how awesome he was in this game for Utah. 26 carries, 186 yards, 7.2 yards per carry, 142 yards after contact. He averaged 5.5 yards after contact per attempt. He broke 7 tackles for a 27% broken tackle rate. 5 carries that went for 10-plus yards in this one as well. And Isaac Wilson was really struggling as a passer. And it makes sense. True freshman in Stillwater. Bernard was really the entire offense. He had 42% of their offensive yards in this game. So Micah Bernard was a superstar. And listen, I know it's a defensive game heavily for both sides, but Micah Bernard was really the only source of offense for honestly either team in this game. So he was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have thought he was Ollie Gordon out there, honestly.
Really.
That's
the opposite.
Formula for Oklahoma State to win, and Utah took it to them. I mean, huge win. First of all, it's one of the biggest wins as far as just in the Big 12. Oklahoma State was thought to be one of the contenders. Obviously struggling now, but it's still a huge road win to get. And that was a big thing for me, too, is Utah last year, big splits in production, home and road, right? Just dominant at home, struggled on the road. Now you get a big road win. Now you get to go back home and play Arizona. Big consequential win for Utah. And again, I'm very worried about the Cowboys.